All right, guys, we're back with our old friend Matt, but we're not talking about real estate in this one. We'll be talking about tourism, La Fortuna, him bringing his kids out to La Fortuna, what he thinks about La Fortuna. He's going to be asking me questions because we kind of know. D'Angelo's here too, by the way. Say hi, D'Angelo.
There he is.
And we're going to talk to him in a minute after we pay a few bills. Hey guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. TravelCostaRicaNow.com is a travel agency, so go to TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Fill out that 4-minute form. You'd be that much closer to the vacation of a lifetime. We're like you, having best friends who live in Costa Rica, who know Costa Rica, totally hooking up your Costa Rica vacation. Please subscribe. YouTube doesn't care. You want to see our videos as we put them up, you got to hit the notification bell. Now, Matt is a real estate agent up in the Tamarindo area, and just for the heck of it, if you thinking about buying a house up in that area, we'll put his contact information down below in the description.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, Matt, thanks. We were talking before we started this tape. He's been bringing up some things I haven't thought about for a long time. I've been living in, D'Angelo and I have been living in Fortuna for almost 17 years now, so we kind of forget, I guess, what we know. I don't know.
What makes this place special?
Yeah, kind of. And so we decided to do this video with Matt.
Yep.
He's down here with his family and his wife.
Yeah. I came with my 7- and 5-year-old. This was the second time since, the last time we were here was August 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, the border closure. Things definitely changed a lot since the last time I was here. But we don't go very many places in Costa Rica, and the fact that we came back a second time is evidence of how much we love it.
Well, let's talk about your first impressions, because we were talking about that when you got here the other day, yesterday, whenever it was.
Yesterday.
Kind of what your impressions were as you were driving around.
So La Fortuna, in my opinion, is a really special Costa Rican city because all of Costa Rica's main towns are laid out with this central square. It's got the church on the east side with a door facing west.
Right.
It has the little park, that's public property, and they always have benches and a little sidewalk, and then there are businesses around them. But for example, if you go out to Tamarindo, and in our area there are Tico cities, we'd call them Santa Cruz, Nicoya, Liberia, out in Guanacaste, this area. And the town square, after dark, first of all, is usually dead. And second of all, the whole town has just this utterly, sort of, how to describe it, a feel that's not quite as...
Bleak?
Yeah, it can be bleak, 100%. A lot of these Costa Rican cities are bleak because their original purpose was to just be the center where everybody was coming to bring their cows or their fruits or etc. And outside of that, sort of the bank, the hardware store, etc., there's not much going on. But in La Fortuna, and we were in the park last night, you have a pretty awesome combination of, yes, this Costa Rican town that's authentic. You have a ton of Costa Rican families that actually live in town, and it was shocking to see how many people were out and about last night. But you also have that tourism bringing in stuff like the huge array of restaurants you have, and you also have really sort of the tourism income creating what I think is a lot more sort of prosperous little city here, and you can see it walking around. People here in La Fortuna, I can guarantee have a much higher average income than some of the cities out in Guanacaste, where maybe they don't have quite as direct a connection to tourism.
There's definitely a lot of mingling and intersection between the Ticos and the tourists here. And the park would be a perfect center meeting place of that mingling. The tourists are walking through, the Tico families are kicking around the soccer ball and all that. And it's I was telling you earlier, anytime I go through that park and I'm making a video, I always mention, it's one of the best parks. It just is. The guy's out there every morning at 5:30.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful park, but I always mention that it's so nice to see families just chilling on a blanket for 2-3 hours. Kind of old school family fun in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. In our area in Guanacaste, you sort of either get a tourism town like Tamarindo, where it's bumping and everything's happening at night, but it's definitely not this family park atmosphere. Or you get the completely sort of Costa Rican administrative towns that just sort of shut down and are uninteresting. And the really cool thing, you know, I was in the chocolate shop just across the way last night, and you've got obviously it's geared towards tourism. There's 14 different kinds of luxury chocolate with propolis and, you know, any crazy ingredients, you know, fine, delicate stuff meant for, you know, the top dollar buyer, chia and chan, you know, all kinds of stuff. But the line there were 7 or 8 Costa Ricans who were getting off work, getting their ice cream. Then there were a couple families, and, you know, just behind us there was a French guy. So you rarely see things gelling together in what felt as natural and, you know, sort of happy as what I saw last night. And really, having hung out in a lot of places, it was very, very charming, because no, it was not just that tourism bar scene, everybody's here to get wrecked and do whatever.
Although there is that.
Yeah, and that's what you know, we were out, this is admittedly 6:30, but at 6:30 in a lot of towns in our area, everybody's already in their house.
It's dark. They're done. Not here. Definitely not here.
No, for sure. And so seeing that ambiance, and really the combination of the fact that you actually have really like a prosperous Tico town and a lot of Ticos who are out in this space. You know, there's an Indian family taking a picture in front of the fountain as the Tico family is, you know, sort of promenading around that circle. You know, it was a super interesting combination, and I don't think you find it in a lot of places in Costa Rica.
And like you were saying, like most places in Costa Rica, they shut down after 6. Towards nighttime, they close down completely. Everybody's home. Here, they kind of stay out till 10 or 11 around the park and doing things as a family unit. And
yeah, it's very interesting. And really, this whole area, something that I'm sort of jealous of, you know, Guanacaste is one of the poorer provinces, and really you see families struggling there. Maybe they, you know, used to have 30 acres, and they were, even a generation ago, a lot of families in Guanacaste were sending their kids to school without shoes. They didn't have electricity until the mid-90s in a lot of these places. And a lot of them are living on some of the lowest pay in the country. Here you have a lot of prosperous dairy farmers. You see people with, you know, just there's a more prosperity for sure in the Costa Rican families.
You think that's getting worse up where you are? Because, you know, there's got to be a disparity between the rich kind of the gringo that can buy the condo on the beach and then the people that maybe clean the condo. I don't know.
Well, if anything, it's, you know, I think the difference is that in Guanacaste you had the Wild West sort of last place in Costa Rica that was really developed, and there's this generational gap where, you know, the host family that I lived with for Peace Corps is a perfect example. I was with a 75-year-old man, and his wife was in her early 70s. He had moved out to that area with his family to start their homestead 70 years ago. They had scraped by with cattle. You know, at one point he was sewing jeans, but very much this sort of frontier lifestyle where they were building their own homes on and on and on, and there was no real economy outside of just that basic hand-to-mouth agricultural production. And his granddaughter, a generation later, you know, actually his, let's think, she was born, you know, in the year his town got electricity. And now, you know, she can't possibly make a living in agriculture. Her only options are to find a new career in something like tourism or, you know, whatever's available in the area. And, you know, that span of 60 years now has already completely changed the way families are living. And yes, there's this really bad jump where Guanacaste's farming economy never really grew to support families like this to where they had a comfortable livelihood. Whereas here you've got, Tico farmers who have nice trucks. They're sending their kids
There's
to
a
good
lot of
schools.
prosperity here for sure. So you brought your 2 kids here. Do you find Fortuna good for the kids?
Absolutely. You know, especially as tourists, for us, this is a wonderful place to visit with kids because they have enormous resorts with these kinds of kid activities that work really well for mine. Like I said, they're 5 and 7.
They don't carry phones, do they?
No.
I just want to ask, like, do they have their phones on this whole time during their little vacation?
Oh, no. And that's, you know, something to touch on. You know, kids coming to Costa Rica, mine at 5 and 7 are somewhat special because they've grown up in Guanacaste. We have a house sort of in the woods, and this to them is actually interesting.
It's like New York City to them, probably.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah. No, this is so cool. We walked around the square last night and got ice cream. I mean, that was a pretty interesting experience. But the kind of, you know, activities that are interesting for people their age are available at the much bigger sort of mega resorts here, where we can't go on an ATV tour with my 5 and 7-year-old. We can't go on a canopy tour because they'd freak out. We can't do, you know, just going to the beach or, you know, all of the things that adults might like to do are sort of off the table. But the resort has 50 different pools. It's got water slides. It has a little turtle pond. It has all of these things created that even as parents of young kids, we can spend 3 days there and keep them entertained.
And there's places around there too. There's Calambu. See, how many times have you been to Fortuna?
Twice. This is my second trip.
So we have, you know, Calambu, which is a kind of a water
spring
park
parks,
for
but
kids,
that one
basically.
caters to kids.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
And it's right by you, right? It's kind of across the street, right?
Yeah.
Pretty
I think your hotel has Zorbing, the big hamster ball you get in and roll down the hill.
Oh, can you do that with kids?
Yeah, because
It's a must to do them with kids. Put them in there and just woo!
It's just a big air ball, so they're safe no matter what.
Yeah. No, and I think it's important. A lot of people might come to Costa Rica with smaller kids and have no, you know, the entertainment options aren't going to be there like they would at Disney World.
Can I just interrupt real quick? I used to actually give the advice a long time ago. I think we both did. You know, I don't think Costa Rica is really for kids. You know what I mean? Because back, you know, when we first got here, it was you were kind of either into nature, which, you know, kids can be into nature, but most kids want, let's say, a water park type of thing, or they were adventure people. You know, they want to, you know, rappel or they want to bike around the country or whatever it is. So I used to kind of say, I don't know, maybe keep the kids at home on this one, get a babysitter and come out as an adults because, but that's definitely changed, at least here in Fortuna. And I don't know, I can't speak for everywhere around the country, but Fortuna definitely, you know, it's got some kid things to do. So
well, and you're definitely right. I think people watching who just imagine it being a playground for kids, it's absolutely not. You know, even Zorbing, I think my kids would probably say no to it at this age because they're pretty, you know, they're scared of everything and conservative about, you know, what they're willing to try.
I would say no to that too. Actually.
Yeah, I know. I'm not Zorbing.
That's not happening.
If I need to throw up in a hamster ball, I'm not paying for it.
if it starts twirling, I'm already in trouble.
Oh yeah.
By the time I get to down the end of the hill, that whole inside would be not good.
Yeah. So when, you know, traveling with kids, I agree with you. There's probably a lot of families who should not take their kids to Costa Rica unless they are doing very deliberate planning around finding, and I think it's got to be these hotels that specifically have these little activities because, yeah, a lot of these things that Costa Rica features and really attract adults are not going to work for your kids, but there are wonderful hotels, and it was something I would have never thought of until I was a parent. But yeah, that turtle pond, we will visit it 4 times. It'll be, you know, during the day when we have to have 8,000 different things to keep them busy and from screaming. That'll save us, you know, if there's a putt-putt course in town, all of this stuff that you could find in Cleveland, Ohio, or anywhere on earth. You've got to focus on also having those options because Costa Rica is primarily interesting to adults who will enjoy seeing the spectacular flora and fauna and who are going to really take in the natural beauty, because kids will see the rainforest and they'll say, okay, that's cool. Now what?
But your hotel also has like an ant, like a big ant home, like what do you call it? I think it's leaf cutter ants. They have this big giant like
those
glass
mounds.
leaf cutter mounds and stuff that you can see. They had a
used to have
area.
alligators, didn't they?
They used to have alligators.
They had an alligator. Interestingly, they were the last day we were here in 2020. The animal ministry, Senasa, showed up to take away their gator.
Oh.
And it was this super old animal that had been there for decades. But they were arriving and taking it from the hotel because it's illegal to have.
I think when we first moved here, every other hotel here or property had gators.
Uh-huh.
It was like, where are these all coming from?
That is true. Yeah. I guess I don't know if we mentioned the hotel. I don't mind mentioning them because we use them a lot for our clients. It's Los Lagos in Fortuna. There's a lot of nice hotels here, but Los Lagos just has a kind of a lot of little things you can do up there. So we like it. So.
And it's not far from the center of town. It's kind of in the middle of everything.
And it's certainly, you can see that I'm sure they sell a lot of day passes, or that they have a lot of sort of, it's got thermal pools and definitely that party possibility. But there's a ton of stuff for kids there, and that for us, we're at the same place for the second time, and we probably will never go anywhere else because we know it works for them.
Are you seeing?
Nearby you is the Arenal Natural, which is like a little reserve, like zoo-like area. It is caged animals, but it's an option for kids. Love it because it's simple, easy walking, and it is.
The sloths are there, and you can for sure see them. But
yeah.
So how are you seeing the price? I'm sure this is a tourist town. I mean, you can't get away with, people say it's expensive. But so yeah, it's a little touristy. How's it compared? Are you seeing any?
Well, so being from the Tamarindo area, in our slice of Guanacaste, you're probably seeing the highest possible prices for anything. Really simple 2-bedroom rentals.
Where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it's now, you're even seeing this influx of really Californians, people from coasts of the U.S. and Canada, that, if Guanacaste can be very pricey, and especially when you get to the tourism towns, obviously it's crazy. I think we're paying something like $175 a night for a hotel room that can sleep up to 6 people. And don't tell me if I'm getting totally ripped off. We're the kind that we book it and we forget it. That's for one of their nicer rooms.
You get a lot of bang for your buck. It's a good bang for your buck. No, we like I said, we send a lot of clients to Los Lagos.
No, for $175, that's very reasonable.
Your price may vary.
Your price may vary. And this, to be honest, it's not luxury. It's not, really, it's not meant to feel like that adult spa. Out in our area, for example, the JW Marriott, which I always thought, it's a Marriott. There are a trillion of those. Surely it's affordable. Their simple hotel rooms start at like $450, $500 a night, just for a double. You've got the W that's even worse.
We have got those too. We definitely got them. Tabacón, Nyara, the Springs. There's quite a few of them here too. Very pricey rooms.
Yeah. So we're staying in the humbler area, but it completely works, and I think people should understand at that $175 price point, your average U.S. tourist might not feel absolutely comfortable. There's only one pillow per person in the room. You got your shampoo in a little hand dispenser. Some very, the ceiling is PVC plastic rather than some nice hardwood. But for our purposes, it's perfect.
Again, the amenities, I think, there. But anything else on Fortuna that you've seen that you kind of didn't know about? Like, we're seeing it get pretty big. La Fortuna's definitely gotten big. There's a reason. It's kind of maybe arguably at least the number 1 or number 2 destination for tourists in. Everything is here. Literally everything. Rappelling and rafting and ATVs and horseback and all of it is here. So, and it's definitely COVID stopped for a little bit, people, but man, this place totally rebounded. I mean, it
Well,
gets packed.
yeah.
This is kind of slow right now in October.
Yep.
But man, we complain about the traffic every day now. It's gotten so.
Oh yeah, no. Since we were here a year and a half ago, it has definitely, even some of the businesses that we saw that were not open then, have moved forward. Like there's a huge restaurant as you come into town that was definitely just the shell of some abandoned business that's now been, finished and turned into a beautiful looking spot. To me, it feels very saturated here with restaurants specifically.
I would have to. I agree.
You drive down the street and there's the Lobster on the side of the road and then 3 more seafood restaurants that follow it. And being here in October, you can see just that every restaurant had maybe 1 or 2 people in it. Lots of them had absolutely nobody in it by 7 p.m. when we went home last night. But to me, that
again, October is a lot of that reason.
Yeah.
Although even during high season, there's so many restaurants. Very few of them tend to be like packed. There's a few definitely that get like packed. Like they're the ones that people seem to go to. But yeah, there's a lot of restaurants here.
No, totally. It especially compared to August 2020, it felt like just a smorgasbord of different food options designed for tourists. I don't feel, for some reason, a lot of it isn't quite as tacky as some of the stuff as we get in the beach areas, but there's definitely some tacky, loud, sort of come in here kind of restaurants.
We even got after-hour bars here now. There's like 2 or 3 or 4 after-hour bars. We used to have
open until 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah, like they're open all night for real.
Yeah.
Now that sometimes there's some sketchy people out front, but
Yeah.
you can do stuff late at night if you want, if you know where the spots to go. But I think there's pretty decent nightlife. I mean, for a Costa Rican town.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, no, the comparing it to Tamarindo, where you've got just that 100% sort of focused party atmosphere. You walk into Tamarindo and it's just meant to be a playground, and this is like kind of.
It is, yeah.
It's really
very adulty. I'd say Tamarindo's pretty, more of an adult destination.
Absolutely.
Kind of like Jaco. I mean, not a big fan of Jaco, but some of the places are kind of more just for adults. Kind of, it's more geared to partying and later nights or whatever. So.
Yeah. No, for me, it's super refreshing to come into a place where, in addition to your strip of restaurants, you've got the charming Costa Rica park. You've got, in addition to a ton of happy tourists milling around town, you also have those happy Costa Rican families, where I think there's sort of more of a division out in Guanacaste,
right.
where, you've got the tourist town, and the only ticos there are, on duty working, or, involved in the service industry in one way or another, and then they're commuting out to some other place to live. It's all right here, and that's that was really what felt cool about going out last night.
See, this is what I was talking about. I've lived here so long. I mean, I do kind of know that, but it was kind of nice for you to that you noticed it so much, especially with the park area and the people around, because it is kind of, refreshing to see families out and about, and mixed again with tourists, so it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, now, do you get on any adventure tours, or is just your kids are a little too young right now?
They're too young. So
the zip line's not going on right now.
we were trying to convince them, but we can't even convince Jonas to get on either of the slides at the hotel this time. Last year, I put him on my lap and we just went straight down. This time he's like, this looks sketchy to me. So zip lining is out. Maybe we could do it. Can you put a 5 and 7-year-old on an ATV?
Double, I think.
You can just put them right in front of you. That might be fun. We could look into that. But basically, when we're tourists in Costa Rica, we do lots of walking. We look at those turtles a million times. We do, That
Are your
sort of-
kids interested in the nature part? Like, would they want to see a sloth, or they don't care about a sloth and a toucan or whatever?
They do to some extent, and they're a little special in that way. They'll take interest in the birds, and they'll really be interested the first time we see stuff. We can keep their attention by going for a hike and maybe finding a couple things for 30 minutes. But yeah, for I think a lot of foreigners' kids would have a really hard time being entertained with any of that.
Unless they had their phone with them.
Exactly. And that's our game too. I mean, we're not perfect. We do our walk in the morning, and then it's, okay, when we get back to the hotel, you can watch a Go Dog Go, and then we're going to the pool, and then you can watch Moana, and then we're going out to dinner, and then you can watch,
That's called being parents, Matt. I wish more people did that.
Yeah.
What about hanging bridges? Is that just too much, too high for them, or?
Great. No, we should absolutely do the hanging bridges.
Mystico's really nice.
We had gone to one. Oh, how can I not even remember what location we were in last time? Oh, this was up at Rincon de la Vieja. And they had, what we were worried about with the hanging bridges, there they had one that was a staircase. There was from like 60 yards higher to 60 yards lower in
Stairs?
this hanging bridge, walking downstairs. That was scary as heck for us, and we really didn't like it because it was kind of like you're swaying and you're walking downstairs. Are we talking flat hanging bridges?
These don't sway. They
Okay.
Well, no, you're really high up, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's beautiful up there.
Okay.
Mystico's really nice, and so is the one at Skytrek, I guess. But Mystico's normally the one people go to. But
the suspension bridges are the ones that move. These ones don't.
Yep.
they're big. It's a big organization that did Mystico,
Mystico.
so it's not just these little pieces of wood.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I know that. No, that's a very good tip, and we'll check it out. I think tomorrow. What did we have planned? Generally nothing. Not too much. So we're kind of easygoing tourists.
have you guys traveled a lot around Costa Rica?
Barely. We've been to Monteverde twice. We've been to La Fortuna twice.
Monteverde's another vibe. I mean, that's another. We haven't been there in a while, but that used to talk about closed down at 6:30.
Yeah.
We had the police tell us to go to our hotel
Yeah.
one night. It was
They're like, it's late. What are you guys doing now? And we're like, oh, it's only 8 o'clock.
we were drinking. It was
Well, that's
like-
good. Yeah. You guys.
We were drinking scotch though on the
I was
curb.
gonna say you're probably up to no good.
That's normally the case, Matt.
I would say though we would not go back to Monteverde with kids. There's now at their ages, at 5 and 7, they got
Agreed.
nothing to do
Agreed.
except walk the trails and see
Right.
birds.
And especially if they're too young to do like the zip lining and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're very happy here. We go to Dominical, and we end up in the same sort of situation, finding a hotel. And down there's one with a putt-putt course inside the hotel. They got a couple.
What's that one?
Oh,
Do you know
geez.
the name of it?
It's something Del Rio, or
Really?
you'd have to ask my wife. She's the one that books everything. But yeah, we go to the same place there just because it's got the simple activities for kids to supplement the nature walks and the day trip out to the river or whatever we're doing. So I think it can be very difficult to keep kids entertained that whole week if you come to Costa Rica that long. And one of the things I meant to bring up, you mentioned seeing a sloth. A lot of people might imagine these incredible encounters with wildlife. You go out and see a sloth in a national park, and a lot of times you're looking through a binocular at a little lump that's 50 yards away in a tree. It's nothing that a kid is going to feel absolutely awe-inspired by.
We just did this 4
Oh.
days ago. We just did a sloth park, and it was nice. But again, a kid wouldn't have been impressed.
Exactly.
Unless the sloth's hanging from their arm or something.
Yeah, and a lot of wildlife, like we just saw wild pigs, which was incredible for Anne Marie and I. But for the kids, what do they care about some animal that's 75 yards away that you can barely see through the woods?
But kids, it's wild pigs, damn it.
Yeah, no, look at them. This species is recuperating due to reconnect, all of this cool stuff that's happening. But wildlife encounters in the wild are often obscured by trees, plants, distance, on and on and on. And so it's not like you're coming down and you get to hold the sloth and your kids are just going to be thrilled by really interacting with one. Now you can go to the sanctuaries. I don't know if those are still even a thing, but
They are.
I mean, they are.
Jaguar Rescue Center down in Puerto
I think
Viejo.
the government's clamped down on them allowing you to hold the animals, though. So
Yeah.
if you're at the sanctuary, you can see them, you can feed them.
When we went
you
into
can't
the
hold them as much as you used to.
we went into the monkey cage and actually got to do that. I don't think they do any of that anymore.
We held
Yeah.
We had a
monkeys,
we had a
too,
sloth we were
sloths.
holding right here, a baby that they were feeding, type of thing. So, but I don't think they. Do
he
much
used
of
to
that.
just get away with anything. No, but that,
Well, we'd say we're making videos for you, so you have to.
yeah. oh, okay.
We kind of tried to pull the VIP. You know, we can make this video. You got to give us a sloth,
Yeah.
man. Come on.
I want your best sloth, and I want no, and that was the first time Anne Marie and I went, birding, or we went and saw sloths. It was even a letdown for us because it was kind of you hear in your mind, oh, we're gonna go see sloths. It's like, yeah, the sloth is living at the top of a forest canopy.
Only comes down once a week to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, so your whole sloth experience may be watching a mossy lump itch itself as like the most interesting thing that happens. Or maybe they're slowly chewing on something.
The best sloth experience is when you happen to run into one crossing the street, or he's close by. Because I mean, we've lived here long enough. We have a lot of those experiences too.
Yep.
But most tourist people don't really get that. And I was kind of thinking, walking around Fortuna, doing our whatever. We don't really see a lot of kids.
No.
I think the kids we see are probably more people like you that just are kind of coming to Fortuna and they have their kids, because you can kind of tell a tourist, getting his kids, and versus somebody that lives in Costa Rica. So there's not even though I think there's plenty to do, maybe, but we don't see a lot of kids here actually.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, and sorry to not be more uplifting to all you parents out there, and it's something that I wouldn't have anticipated before having kids. Like, by the way, the next 10 years of travel are gonna suck. You're gonna do everything catering to your kids, and the moment you don't keep them happy, your trip is even worse.
And it's like, why'd we go on vacation again? We could have done this at home.
Yeah, I might try to, if I were coming to Costa Rica with kids, figure out some bigger program that was about learning, like do a scavenger hunt in the country, or find some way to sort of tie the whole trip together where your activities have to be, involved in a bigger game, because...
Or have maybe other kids involved.
Oh gosh,
too.
yeah.
I mean, other kids are going to change
Travel
things
as a
too,
group,
but,
yeah.
Again, you see teenagers here coming from the States and their Gap tours and stuff. You see a lot of that kind of stuff, from their high schools, but again, not too many.
Yeah, that's an age where they can be interested in this sort of stuff. And
You've lived here how long in Costa Rica?
since 2008,
Wow.
so just a little bit less than you.
It's getting up there. We're getting older, man. All right, so I don't know why we did this video. Just while we're talking crap about Guanacaste and La Fortuna, and we have a lot. Both areas do provide some cool things. Maybe we're just kind of saying leave your kids at home.
Yeah, don't bring them.
We're gonna be talking to Matt some more today. We're gonna be seeing some other videos with him. Matt, thanks for chatting with us. I'm Michael Allen. That's D'Angelo over there. Everyone always says he just shows his fingers.
He's got the nicest fingers in the world.
There's Chispa. All right, guys, things are going to pop up. If you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, always do your homework and research. And if it's about Costa Rica, I'm going to put our videos up against anybody's. Ciao.